go.
Hey, Joshua, welcome back to the Edge broadcast.
I'm here. Welcome, man. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's nice, Daniel. Nice to talk to you again.
All right, yeah. As you know, this is a green screen, but actually, I'm actually going to be floating in space. People, they really don't know that I'm in a green screen. See, so I just pretend. Uh, but it really gets ironic because they think I'm pretending to be a cowboy because I got the hat. But this is pure authentic, Joshua.
Okay, good, man. It looks real. Looks like you're really out there, man.
That's a good word, and apparently you've been out there a little bit too, and we're going to find out about it tonight. In fact, we want to, Joshua, we want to find out: is there hope in the afterlife?
There is hope in the afterlife. That's the crux of my work, man. Showing that.
Okay, so I know you're a filmmaker and you get into various things. You're a researcher, of course, and got a great website. Got a lot of things going on. How does the afterlife come into your wheelhouse?
Well, I mean, you had me on early on. I don't know what year I was on. I feel like it was 2014, maybe, or something like
Yeah,
that. And
figure.
I was deep in the research, in the journey, as I was researching the afterlife because I was curious about it. I really couldn't take anyone else's word for it, the TV shows and things like that. I wanted to find out myself. I found that I had an intuitive ability myself, and I started able to communicate with with spirits on my own, and it just escalated, man. It just got deeper and deeper. Using different pieces of equipment and recorders and things like that. I started doing sessions to help people reach their loved ones using my ability, but then using the gear to validate what I was getting,
Hmm.
and it does that, and so it's just been an amazing ride, and so there's a lot of hope. There's a lot of hope, but
Hmm.
we have a correlation. There's a direct correlation. We have an impact on the spirit world. We do, and they have one on us.
Hmm. So, how often during one's daily life and routine do you think we are actually interacting with the other world?
It's a great question. Actually, it's a really good question. I think people are interacting. I think there's spirit interaction way more than we really think. I don't think someone needs to be psychic or even conscious of that kind of interaction. I think that we have loved ones and help, angels and guides of that nature, helping us. We've also got, just like there's a-holes out here in the world that, like to be negative and do what they want to do and try to have ulterior motives and things. That stuff can affect us too, It's and so how we're living kind of dictates that. If we're living like we got a lot of fear in our life, we got a lot of anger in our life, we're not always doing the right thing, that invites, the
Mhm.
the darker side into our life.
Yeah. Well, that kind of reminded me of the way you described it. It was the movie Ghostbusters. The end theme of that was, as they sort of revealed, was the building was an infrastructure that was almost like a calling center. It was
Yeah.
attracting those ghosts. And so, are you saying that how we act on Earth can either attract good forces or evil?
Absolutely. So, I mean, if I spend my day being a good guy, listening to some good music, praying a little bit, meditating a little bit, maybe doing something to help someone else, just a friendly deed. It doesn't have to be that big,
Hmm.
trying to improve myself. That's going to attract a more divine energy,
Hmm.
a higher vibrational energy.
Hmm.
If I'm listening to a lot of negative music and I'm being a real negative person, I've got a lot of negative thoughts going through my head. Oh, that person sucks, and this thing sucks, and that, whatever. That's going to attract more of that kind of energy. So, yeah, I mean, that's just the way it is.
Hmm. Um, when you say energy, let's talk about that. What is the essence of energy?
Light, I mean, vibration, light. I mean, that's really all that it is. I mean, it's not. I don't want to reduce it and say that's all it is, but I mean, we are light and everything. I mean, I really believe this is a projection of some kind,
Mhm.
and I mean, I'll tell you this. it wasn't until a few years ago that I was able to finally visually capture, more, visual evidence of phenomenon, moving around me. And you'll see in a lot of my videos these balls of light coming in and stopping and then going in my head and going into my gear and then leaving the gear and then
Mhm.
doing these loops and leaving. Excuse me. These are balls of light, and I believe that's crossed over loved ones, angels, guides helping. But there are negative, there's negative energy. I mean, and there's energy vampires and that kind of,
Mm. Hmm.
stuff.
Mm. Okay, so now I would agree with you on energy vampires. Those in the natural world, to me, it's somebody who's negative, and if you feel, I mean, you can literally feel like
Correct.
something oozing, like trying to pull you out of your happiness into them, kind of like a.
Well, I mean, that's interesting. Again, you're bringing up a lot of really good things because the thing is that, you're not a psychic. You're not going around talking to the afterlife and all that kind of stuff. But you yourself are, in touch with that intuitive side enough to know that when you're around someone who's negative, they don't have to be saying a whole lot. You can just
Mhm,
feel that,
mhm,
that pull or that negativity.
mhm,
When someone's around you and has a great energy, they've got a great light, they've got a great energy about them.
mhm,
They don't, they too don't have to say very much. You
mhm,
can be around them and they can leave and you can go, I don't know what it was about that guy or that person, that
mhm,
woman. They just had a great energy about them.
mhm,
I felt better around them.
mhm. Yeah, I've met obviously both
Right.
strata there. I mean, I'm sure everybody has met,
Correct.
and of course, obviously, we want to decrease the negative and increase the positive, like, as the bear said.
Yeah.
But we live in a world where this constant conflict. Let me ask you something. Does it take that, there's a euphemism that says, like, it takes more energy to frown than to smile. Does it take more energy to remain hostile and aggravated and mean versus the amount of energy to remain hopeful, optimistic, and cheerful?
That's a great question. You got a lot of great questions tonight, Daniel. I got to tell you. So thank you. I would say it's almost the opposite when we're here in this realm. This is a very dense realm. It's very, it's very dense. It's a dense place. It's very physical. But because of that, there's a lot of distractions and a lot of negativity. It takes a lot of work to keep up the positive energy because the way that the system is kind of built for us almost it's like it's not built to be conducive to raise the vibration. It's kind
All
of
right.
built to lower the vibration. We've got processed foods and it's hard to eat healthy unless you're rich. There's all kinds of,
Mhm.
there's all phones and apps are thrown in our hands that are major distractions, and the screens that we're in front of all the time, the type of content that's out there, it's not positive. A lot of times it's like the Kardashians and other types of Real Housewives, kind of that all stuff doesn't raise your vibration. That stuff lowers it. So
Mhm.
I would say it's the opposite. It's a lot harder to keep the high vibration going
Mhm.
when you just have to go through a whole day on Earth. I think it pulls you down unless you're staying positive.
Mm. Um, if one was around this negative situation, would that eventually end up in sickness?
Yeah, I mean, they've said, I mean, like doctors have even said there's a major benefit to meditation, and there's a medical benefit to it. There doesn't even have to be a spiritual, you're finding a higher power.
Mhm.
Really, it just lowers blood pressure, it moves out negative energy, tension in the body, things like that. When we have stress, when we have, high pressure or a lot of negativity, the body takes that on. I mean,
Mhm.
who's the, I think the Japanese scientist who conducted that study where he had the two plants, and every day he spoke negative to one and he spoke positive and said I love you to the other,
Mhm.
and the one that got spoken to negatively started dying
Mhm.
severely.
Mhm.
And he was still watering it the same and doing a controlled experiment, but he proved that negative energy is detrimental to
Mhm.
life.
Mhm. I'll share a personal story with you. I don't know that I've ever said it on the show, but hey, I'm always willing to expose myself, my frailties, my vulnerableness. Although I'm an alpha male, I gotta tell you, I do got a vulnerable side, not a feminine side. Okay, cowboy don't got that.
Okay.
But years ago, I was informed by the power company that they've got to come in and cut down some of my prize trees that I personally planted. Now I'm a planting fool, man. I mean, I got bees. I plant fruit trees,
That's
berries. I
awesome.
planted an acre of forest. I have a forest I personally planted.
That's
Oh,
really cool.
and three something acres. I planted every tree on. So but I don't. I also don't consider myself the the sort of the tree hugger. You know, I'm in the left wing, mentally deprived, whatever that
Right.
would be, the
Sure.
extreme of somebody who is worshiping nature. But so I'll say this: I did go to those trees. I was sad. And I felt a sadness that they had to be cut down. It's like I had a
Sure.
kinship, and I'm thinking,
I agree.
am I slipping? Is something going on with my physiology, my psychology, my calibration with the environment around me?
Yeah.
But I was sad, and I did tell the trees. So if people want to turn the show off now, you can. But
No,
I
man. I
didn't
mean, I think
know
that's a
where
wonderful
that was
thing to
coming
admit. I
from.
don't think that's admitting any kind of, I mean, you have to understand. I mean, why are we just so superior that we don't have any other connection to anything living on this planet? You put an energy, I mean, you put energy into planting those and watch them, and there was irrigation, there was water. You had to take care of these, whatever the whole situation was. So there's a connection to it. All of a sudden, you're like, well, that sucks, man. Those things don't have to get cut down. They shouldn't have to get cut down. So why not?
Hmm.
I mean, of course, I understand that, you don't want to get, pegged as
Hmm.
someone that's,
Hmm.
you know, losing their mind
All
because
right.
they care about their trees. But I
All
mean,
right.
why not, man? Why
Well,
not?
my sympathy was somewhat abated when I made them pay me $400, and then I went out and bought a Husqvarna chainsaw and cut some more trees. So I'm
Uh,
the hypocrite of the worst degree,
well,
Joshua. What a damn hypocrite! I went out and bought a
it was a
Husqvarna.
moment of
I thought, hey,
connection. So that's cool.
whatever. So we got no. I am absolutely convinced we live in a spiritual world, and I'm thinking it's a more of a world than this because this seems like such a temporary place.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, and it's interesting because when I first started, the responses that I was getting and the communication I was getting was more basic. It was more like help or, get out or I'm here, simple things
Hmm.
like that. And now because over 8 years now, the communication has really evolved and the stuff we're working on now is really wild stuff. I mean, this is the type of work that was started by Thomas Edison, Nikola Tesla, Frederick Jorgensen, Konstantin Radovow. I mean,
Hmm.
these are very educated, important people, and they all worked on instrumental transcommunication, and that's exactly what I'm doing. Now the responses are, like there's a lot being revealed about the other side. That I have guides that are coming in ships. So there's like there's work almost
Hmm.
like there's help on the other side. There's a team of people that are moving, and it's not just for me. I feel like I'm just kind of revealing and showing more of that, but that's for other people. Everyone else has someone on the other side kind of helping or working with them on some level.
Hmm.
And there's a few more human factors to the other side than we even really understand. I think most people, the misconception is that we die and it's like there's just this light and we turn into a ball of light and we're
Hmm.
just like this spirit that gets a download of all the secrets of the universe that we ever wanted to know.
Hmm.
And I don't think that that's the way it is. I think that there's multiple levels to the afterlife. I think that there's a level just right on the other side of this, which is more similar to kind of this realm that we're in right now. Like it's kind of like a almost like a mirror image, but on the other
Hmm.
side of the veil. And then the higher up you go, you're getting a more divine being, or you're getting a higher vibration.
Hmm.
Um, but I've told people that I think it's weird to think that the system would be built in a way that we do all these human things and feel very human and work and do all this stuff, and then go to the other side, and it's just like nothing. It's nothing like
Hmm.
being human. I think that would be too drastic of a transition.
Mhm.
So I think, and because of that, I hear responses of them talking about having a phone in their hand, having eating something. I've heard them talking about sleeping.
Mm.
So I think
What
it's
do you mean
interesting.
you heard them? Who you talking about?
I'm sorry. I've heard them, meaning the spirits on the other side,
Hmm.
with my through my gear, through the intuitive connections,
Hmm.
them talking about human aspects
Hmm.
on the other side.
Well, if you go to if you want to know how many interviews I've done, you can go to the audio files link on my website, and it'll take a few minutes to load, but it will your finger wear out hitting the scroll button, go down. In that, I've talked to a whole lot of people that have had near death experiences. The main similarity that I see is, or that I hear, is that there is a sort of Earth-like
Yeah.
place
Wow. Okay.
where but they said that the colors are 10 times more vibrant, and the smells and the flowers sing, and there's I mean, to me, I mean, being somebody who loves nature, I'm kind of like, that sounds
That
like pretty good
sounds
heaven to
good.
me.
Yeah.
I don't want to contrive what an image of heaven is, because I feel like I'll be so far off,
Sure.
that, so I don't really even speculate on that, but I do like to hear
That's
other people's
wise.
stories. So when you hear about the afterlife, are all the stories consistent, or have you ever picked one up that's completely out of line with the others?
Um, no, I mean the communication that I'm getting from my spirit guides, the ones that are on the other side helping me with the gear, it all is very consistent. Each session that I do, there's always a lot of the not the same responses, but there's a lot of similar responses of them talking about bring in more light. We need more light.
Hmm.
This person is here,
Hmm.
or this person just left. You look bright tonight, or there's things like so. When and I don't know if I mentioned this. I don't know if I found this out yet when I was on your show last, but spirits talk about the light a lot of times, and
Hmm.
some people think that's just the light, the tunnel to heaven. But really, we actually get light from the source. There's a
Hmm.
source, higher power, God, whatever that is,
Hmm.
whatever people want to conceptualize that as. But we do get light. And,
Hmm.
and like I said, when I'm filming on night vision cameras and I'm, using some other type of visual technology, I'm seeing light. Like I said, balls of light are coming down and they're coming in fast, they're coming in slow. So, we need light to communicate and we need light to live, and that's a big part of it. I don't think
Hmm.
that was really fully understood
Hmm.
amongst afterlife researchers.
Hmm. Yeah, my one of my original televisions had a light connection to the sound bar, an optical connection, which is the same. In 1 John 1:5, it says, God is light, and in
Correct.
him is no darkness at all. Now, that tells me that he's pretty much got everything under control. And I would dare say, this is my personal belief. I'm not speaking for you by any means, but I would think that all light would probably, whatever form it comes to us, it comes from him.
It has to come from the source. So, I mean, someone has said, God is everything or he's nothing, and so that even if there's dark aspects of the world, of the universe, of the multiverse, whatever you want to say, I still think that those parts came from God, or that derived from God. God gave us free will. Without free will, there wouldn't be any reason for morality, right? We wouldn't have to make a choice ever. We would just be good, and we would be because we were made to be good, and we couldn't veer from that. But because there are egos and there are, this individualized, and I'm not against feeling, being an individual with different aspects of who we are, but we lose the sense of connection. We lose the sense of connection to that source. And when we do that, we become darker.
Mm.
We,
And
we
it's,
cut off the light.
well, that is true. And then some people said, of course, once you disconnect from, you use the word source. I will use the word God there. Uh,
I use God a lot too. I'm just trying to be kind of, diplomatic a little bit
I do
here.
understand that. I actually
Yep.
do. And I hope the people do too. I mean, you know, I always have this battle. I feel like there's people that are a little bit judgmental and feel like anybody that's a little different in their point of view is like somehow not normal. But
No, right. I hear you. Right.
but I've heard it said that being apart from the light, or being apart from God, is the hell that is spoken about. You don't, maybe it's not a burn, although the Bible particularly does talk a lot about a burning literal hell, and I'll just
Yeah,
leave people to debate that. Um, but being apart from light has got to be hell. I mean, I tried to imagine one time, what if I was in the casket and my eyes opened up and I'm underground? It's dark. I mean, you can't breathe. I mean, I start, I get a little panicky thinking about that.
anyone would.
And so I don't like the dark. I mean, it kind of reminds me of the guy in the Green Mile. Do you ever see that movie?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
He's big guy, sensitive
Right.
heart, a gift of healing, but he didn't like the dark. And in fact, when they went to
Correct.
electrocute him, he didn't want a hood on his head, so he didn't want to see the dark. So there is
Right.
something about the dark. Now, so many stories and human fears, and which is represented by movies, come
Right.
as through the darkness. It's a dark and stormy night. It's really not in the daytime. Why is that?
Well, I mean, what we can't see, we don't know, and we fear what we don't know, right? I mean, if I show you the monster, and I'm in the film business. I've done a lot of different film projects, and I was a part of a horror movie because that was the genre that was selling at the time, and I was making movies. I mean, so if you show the monster up front, it's not as scary. But if you show the dark and a little bit of a growl and maybe a little flicker of something, all of a sudden it's like your imagination can create something way worse than what I could create to show you, right? So there is something to that. But I mean, no, I mean, I to go back to your point about the hell thing. I've done sessions where I've heard them talk about hell, being in hell, or there was a hell. Um, and I'm not going to say there isn't a place where there's fire and there's a guy with hooves and a pitchfork and all that. Like I don't know. Who am I to really say? The more I do this, the less I know, I feel like. But I think it is more of a self-created situation. So if you hated, it was funny. It was like in The Sopranos. I remember, one of the Italian guys was, on in the hospital bed, and he came out of a coma, and the other guy comes to him and he goes, "Well, what was it like?" And he goes, "Man," he goes, "I was at an Irish bar, and it was St. Patrick's Day every day." You know what I'm saying? So like that was his hell, for an Italian guy. It was just funny. So it was like it could be whatever you create, whatever you feared the most, whatever you hated. If like, a guy like Jeffrey Epstein, he could be experiencing something that's completely different than what someone else is experiencing as their hell, So I think that there's a truth to that. But being cut off from the light, I think yeah, it's hell. A form of-
If you think about it, now talk about hell as in a literal burning fiery place. There are a lot of descriptions of hell, but I would say this, that the early Twilight Zones, many of their programs was hell. It was hell. And it
really
wasn't
were.
in the sense of the fiery burning, but when you were there, it's like they had this one show where this former Nazi guard came back as he was a prisoner, and there's so many of those stories that, how somebody treated somebody years ago now happens to them. And that's their,
Well, that's karma. Yeah, sure. Right.
now they're one of the funnier ones though. I remember there was this one Twilight Zone where this, like kind of rock and roller kid lived, just kind of like ate potato chips and just threw trash all over his room, but he died. When he died though, he didn't know he was dead, but then every time he'd throw paper on the floor, a maid would come in and pick it up. So he couldn't trash the place. And that's what he was trying to do. His hell, Josh, was he could not trash his room
That's so
like he did
funny.
on earth. It
Right.
was pure hell to have a clean room. So I'm telling you, there are different hells for different
No,
people.
I mean, think about the guy that was, had the store, whatever, it was the storm shelter, or the fallout shelter, and he saved the books. I think it was like Burgess Meredith, or I
Yeah.
forgot who it was.
The
But,
librarian.
and he broke the glasses.
Yep.
I mean, it's just little things that you don't realize. It's whatever is. So that, the point, and that's a great segue into like, the fact is that what can we do here on Earth? Why is there a correlation to the afterlife? Well, sure, we want to know if there's an afterlife. We want to know about it. We want to know that our loved ones are on the other side and they're doing okay and that they're, and all that. But the fact is that if we die and we have a lot of desires that we're still holding on to, regrets that we're holding on to, resentments, things like that. That's the kind of stuff that can really keep us kind of held down in the afterlife.
Hmm.
Doesn't mean hell, doesn't mean, we got one shot to go to God and then there's nothing. There's still a journey on the other side. It doesn't just end
Hmm.
within 90 years of being in a body. There's still a journey. And it could be a really good one. It is a good one. I've heard many wonderful accounts of I'm in the light. I've seen God. I've heard a lot of great things. But I've heard people like, I'm bored. I don't know. I'm kind of tired. I really don't know. I'm still angry or I'm upset about something.
Hmm.
They're holding on to something.
Hmm.
So I think that if my work can do anything to help people, it can help show them, yeah, there's an afterlife and we live on. But
Hmm.
find your higher power, find God for you, Jesus Christ, if that's who it is for you. That is for me, but some people love Buddha and Allah and Krishna and all these other avatars, these ascended masters and things of that nature. Some may just love the unmanifested Father, energy that is,
Hmm.
Father, God. But create that connection, work on ourselves, try
Hmm.
to become as, wear the world like a loose garment, like he said. That means go to work, have a wonderful job, enjoy your family, enjoy life.
Hmm. Hey,
But you can't
Josh,
hold on to everything.
by the way, somebody put in our live chat going on. We're streaming on YouTube and we're streaming on our
Right.
website, and then
Right.
we're streaming the audio on TuneIn Radio. But somebody put in the live chat, Martha Washington uh, felt that we're talking about inside of a coffin. Said they when they disinterred her, they found scratches inside her coffin.
Oh man.
That's hell, Josh. I'll just put it to you that way. Hey, let me do a little business here.
Yeah.
I give a shout out to everyone in the live chat, and a bunch of more have joined, so I want to make sure I give them a shout out. In our live chat has joined Southern Boy, Australian Ben, Granny from Florida, Believe 3.0, Scotty, Leanne Franks, Elijah, May 777, Teflon Coat, Max Vogan, Viveka, Peter, Raul, and Carol and Craig all joining us in the live chat. And for those of you watching the program, if you have a question for our guest, Joshua Lewis, be sure to put that in the chat, and our moderator will send it over to us if you have questions about finding hope in the afterlife. So, Joshua, so there are people, there are a group of people that believe there is no afterlife, of course, and then there's those that believe it's whatever, and then you're saying that there's more, it's more leaning toward hope. So, therefore, if from the hope standpoint, when a person gets near death, should they have that terrorizing fear, or should they just relax and say, "Hey, I'm heading to a better place"?
Yeah, I mean, if you start to get to that point where you're heading in that direction, then start to, relax and pray and start like taking down the stress level as much as possible. They say that like in hospice and other places that, like hospitals or if someone is passing at home in a room, to try to keep the talk positive. Don't
Mhm.
have the TV blaring with like, crappy movies or whatever.
Mhm.
Play positive music. Whisper in their ear, tell them that they are the light. They're going to the light, that that there is a God, all that stuff. Stuff that they may already know, but it's going to help reinforce that. The Tibetan Book of the Dead, the monks, they talk about the different bardos, the different levels in the afterlife, as I was just sharing. But they talk about how when someone is passing, that they have a process of praying with them and for them and trying to help guide them through so that they don't get distracted in any way or hear any kind of negativity and let that take them longer. So, I mean, of course, there's wonderful, I'll just kind of just I'm not going to read anything to you, but I mean, there's in my book there's six truths, facts that I found,
Okay.
simple facts in the sense that like there's a lot of other things I can tell you about that I have found through the research, but what I do know for sure through my research, whether someone believes me or not, is that we are intuitive people who can send and receive information telepathically. That is 100% a fact that I have proven myself, whether someone accepts those findings or not. I know that to be a fact. Another fact is we are able to effectively hear and record intelligent voices from an unknown dimension or space. That is a fact. Whether they're all evil or all good, which they're not all evil, but I'm just,
Mm-hmm.
giving people some, some room. But this is a fact. That is a fact. Okay, intelligent voices are responding to me. Consciousness exists after the body dies. That is a fact. There's too much verifiable information that I have received from the other side about people's lives, about how they're doing, what's going on, or answering very specific questions that only they would know.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that there's some type of transfer of consciousness to the other side.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, I have three more. Not the other one is not everything that comes through is evil. That is a fact. That the majority of my communication I receive is very positive. Um, it's encouraging. It's talking of just trying to spread love and light and be a better person. So that's a good thing. These voices on the other side speak of angels, Jesus, and even God. So can I prove that Jesus and God exist? No, I can't. But voices on the other side are talking positively about those divine forces, those divine powers. So that's a really good thing. Um, there are light anomalies that interact with me during these sessions, and you know, I say light anomalies because it's out of the room of standard. It's not normal for those types of things to be happening, I guess, for us to be picking that up on camera. But that is visual, evidence that there is spirit or some kind of paranormal interaction, and it's coming at a time when I'm getting positive things. I feel positive. I may say in the video, "Hey, I feel good. I'm feeling light coming in," and you might see a ball of light hit my head. So it's really wild. So those are the six facts, which should give hope.
Mm, okay. Um, and so I'll just throw this out to the folks watching the program in the live chat. The question that I'm going to throw out there: do you feel like there's hope in the afterlife, or do you feel like it would just be neutral, or do you feel like it'd be hell or nothing? Just something. Just write a one-word thing there. Let's find out what the folks are kind of thinking, kind of gauging right now. Um, I've had a number of people that do talk about sort of a hellish experience on the other side, and a lot of them, of course, they come back. I mean, that's the nature of a near-death experience. And I'm wondering, of course, I don't know why they call it near-death experience, Josh, because they're, well, I guess
They
near
died.
death, but I mean, technically, because the people that
Right.
come on the show have said they were dead. So I think it's like post-dead debriefing, I
Experience.
suppose.
Right.
But there is a number that come back and they have a hellish experience. And from what I gather over the years, it's about 25%. But those seem to be pretty life-changing events as well when somebody realizes that, but in sort of in a good way. I mean, I think sometimes we need a jolt when we're just the crappiest person ever, and we don't realize that we just are just being nasty to people and we react nasty to people. Sometimes,
Right.
Joshua, we do need a jolt to say, "Hey, you got one shot at this thing. Is this the way you want to go out?"
I agree. I mean, I had a jolt. I didn't have a near-death experience. I had some real tough times, and I had to go up the road. I had to go to prison for a couple of years early on, 20 years ago, and I've had a wonderful life since. But I wouldn't have had that wonderful life, I don't think, if I didn't get that jolt. And I think in my intuitive communication over the years, I've gotten the feeling that I would have had to have either gone to prison to get that time out, to get that kind of life changing, pivot, or I would have had to OD'd or died in some way and had some maybe near death experience possibly, because I don't think people may not know that there's an afterlife. They may speculate, oh, I wonder if there's a God or whatever it is. But you're absolutely right. If bad people, or people that were living bad, I should say, not doing the right thing,
Mhm.
got a taste of what the other side was like, or even confirmation that there was another side, or
Mhm.
would they still act the same way? You know what I'm saying? So I mean, I think that's very interesting.
Now, you made a mention in the first hour, Joshua, that I think you said there's levels, perhaps some sort of
Yeah,
levels on it.
right.
Now, biblically speaking, uh, the Bible says, to some will be given few stripes. To some will be given many stripes. Now, I do have to say, I'm not going to pull that out and let it sit by itself. That has to be
Sure.
interpreted line upon line, precept upon precept. But the generality of that is there are levels, whether it's punishment levels or ascension levels, let's just say,
Yes.
I would think when you go there, you don't want to be the one that say barely made it on a technicality and you never did nothing good in your life. You really want, it seemed like we really want to, not maybe bragging rights, but to know that somewhere we realized that life wasn't about ourselves, that we were here to experience life in the body to to increase the amount of love, and it comes down to love. I'm just going to
I
say
agree.
it.
Absolutely. I think you're speaking the right language, 100%, man. And just to back up what you're saying, I mean, sure, the word heaven in a singular sense is mentioned, many times in the Bible, but the word heavens is mentioned many times in the Bible as well. And so, heavens is not, I mean, that's plural. So there are levels. I firmly believe. I've heard my spirit guides talk about.
Mhm.
They've come through the box and they said, we're coming down. We're coming down. We're going back up. We're going back up.
Mhm.
And then others are like, we're here all the time. So there's some
Mhm.
that are kind of that haven't been able to move. They are wanting to grow spiritually still on the other side. They're wanting to ascend, but they haven't really made it there yet. Like
Mhm.
maybe they're working on something. But
Mhm.
then there's others that are coming down and helping, but they don't stay down here because they don't live down here, right? Like
Mhm.
they need to go back
Mhm.
home and, get more light, rejuvenate, kind of, they have a light filled place to be.
Mhm.
And I can receive that light. You can receive that light because it comes from that source up there. But I mean, we're talking about it in a very simplified,
Mhm.
kind of way. But I mean, there's a system, man, and I don't think it really matters. I'm not going to say it doesn't matter, but I'm not going. I don't think. I think that if you live a good way, and you have, like you said, it all comes down to love. If you have love in your heart, you're helping other people, regardless of what, and you're just trying to be a better person. I don't think that the system, the laws of the spiritual laws are different because of your religion or because of you know I think that spirituality is spirituality. So,
Mhm.
everyone can worship however they want, but I think it gets us back to the same destination.
Mhm. Um, and in the near death experience testimonies I've heard, I remember one particular where a man told me that he died on the operating table. He was dead for 10 hours. They already tagged his toe. So there he goes. It was not near death, it was death. And
Yeah.
then, but when he went to heaven, he was told, you can, in simplified terms, as we just said, you can lock in where you're at now, or we can send you back and you can make some improvements. So,
Oh,
so,
interesting. Hey, that's
so
pretty cool.
given a choice. And I've heard of actually a number of things on that realm and in that way. So it seems that we are improving. I think, I don't know about, maybe you know more than I say, but it seems like our chance to improve is now. And I mean, can you be more spiritual on the other side after you've been there a while, or are you at a place where you'll be for eternity?
No, because I mean, dude, I got to give you, man. You really, I mean, not that I didn't expect you to ask good questions. I've been interviewed by you before, but you're asking really good stuff. Um, This guy is Paramahansa Yogananda. He's one of the gurus out there. He's not alive anymore. He died in 52,
Mhm.
53, I think. But he talks about, he says, um, people that think that death liberates them and makes them an angel. He goes, no. He goes, if that was the case, let us all go to the rivers and the ocean now and drown ourselves and become angels at once. He goes, but no. He goes, you are who you are in this life, in the afterlife. He goes, this is the place to change. This is the place to work on it. He
Mhm.
goes, do it now. Don't wait until then, which you still can work. There's still hope. It's not like you
Mhm.
get to the other side and it's like game over and you got to sit out for 500 years and wait until you can get back in the game.
Mhm.
Um, you could still make a change, but it's harder. This is the time. We're given a great opportunity to actually be in a body and experience, like you said, this realm and bring love into existence. And that's not always what we're worried about. We're worried about the jobs and ego and pride and status and
Hmm.
getting to a certain position in our careers and all that. So it's hard. But then again, you can't become a hippie tree hugging, just denunciant or to denounce everything and just like
Right.
go to the woods. I mean, they say it's not about going to the mountains and just disappearing. It's about like finding spirituality within your family, within your job, within your community. You know what I'm saying? That's the way that you can ascend. It's not to run away and hide
Hmm.
and
Right.
to, go into the woods and only just. So I think that's interesting. I think there's a lot to be said. This is the place to work all that crap out,
Hmm. And
you
it's
know?
interesting too, because I think you said in the first hour that society in general doesn't lend itself for human spirituality improvement by any
Correct.
stretch of the imagination. In fact, it seems to be a
It's an
thrust to
obstacle
pit us
course.
against each other, and I think too. I like what you said about say your job and thing. You said well you can hate your job, but you know what? You just might have a reason why you're there.
Sure.
So and I think if you're more spiritually minded. I know that term being so spiritually minded, earthly good, which is one way to put it, but I think there's some balance in there. But be
Absolutely.
aware, be cognizant of your surroundings, and look for opportunities to see what you can impart in somebody else. And Joshua,
Oh, that's
I
awesome.
know if you impart something in total selfless, just got yourself completely out of this. You just want to do something over here and walk away. It's coming back to you. You know that it's going to
Yeah.
come back to you more than what you put over there.
Well, I mean, even though I know that, and it is, it's like you're making a deposit into your spiritual bank account as opposed to an earthly bank account. You know what I'm saying? I
Hmm.
mean,
Absolutely.
I mean, I listen to rich guys talk about how nervous they are to die because of how much they've amassed in this life, and they can't take it with them to the other side. So like they want to figure out a way to grow to be 120 years old with that fortune and all that. But the fact is that there's something greater on the other side to be living for. But I think that when I go to help someone, I mean, and I do it just out of the kindness of my heart. There's no praise. There's no like glory as far as like I'm not going to get any notoriety. It's just a deed,
Hmm.
man.
Hmm.
Whatever.
Hmm.
I feel the gratitude for how blessed I am in my life. I feel like I just did something for my father, like I did something for the
Hmm.
greater good. Like my God needed to help this person over here and needed a little bit of a human representative to do it in that moment. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? And if
Yeah.
I could
Hmm.
be used for that good in that moment as a tool of the Lord's in a sense,
Hmm.
like I don't think there's any greater
Yeah.
glory than that, man. I mean, that means you're moldable clay and he can do something with you. I
Yeah.
think that's really cool.
I've heard it said that just make yourself available.
There you go.
And hey, I'll tell you what, we got a lot of questions. Let's get some of these
Sure.
questions. Sorry for the people that put them in there, but
Yep.
let's just get down. All right, this is actually from Bear, who does our Bear report every week. He says, if the energy is either positive or negative, does that mean it has an electrical charge?
I would say yes. I mean, just based on what Einstein said, it can't be, created nor destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I do believe dark energy can be, converted back to light or back to the positive. We all have free will, free choice. So I don't think we're only locked in to be bad or good. We have the potential to be both. But yes, I don't want to keep going on.
Okay.
I do believe that. Yes, I
Okay.
believe that.
All right. Smoke C out of live chat. Is it true when we die, we should turn away from the light? I heard that the light is a trap, and we've been lied to about the light before.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard that, and I'm gonna take my chances based on my 8 years of research
Take your
and
chances.
all of the stuff that I've heard.
Yeah.
I don't think going away from it. I don't think going into darkness is the right choice. I think going into light is the right choice.
Hmm.
I'm gonna try. I mean, just by what you just said, I
Hmm.
mean, God is light, right?
Hmm.
I mean, I've said to people before, if God has made it so hard for us to discern Him then whatever, then let it be what it is. Then I mean, that's apparently how hard. If that's how hard it has to be for us to, if I call on Jesus Christ and I pray to Jesus Christ or I pray to God, and the devil can just easily come in and just be, I'm Jesus and you can pray to me, then there's something wrong with the system. And I don't think there is anything wrong with the system. I'm just saying, I think that if I'm wholeheartedly praying to God or if I'm asking for help, I'm going to get that help. That's what faith tells me, right? So that's what I have to believe. And we're told that it's the Father of light. Turn it over to the Father of light,
Mm-hmm.
not the Father of darkness. So
Yeah.
Prince of Darkness,
And
right?
I think maybe where the viewer was coming from is there is a scripture that says, "No marvel for Satan himself can transform himself into an angel of light." So there are some tricksters out there.
Sure.
We got to be aware of that, though. We can't be too blind on that.
No, no, no. You're right. Yeah,
All right.
I totally agree with you with that. Yep.
Okay. Adele S says, "Do you consider your spirit guide actually angels?"
I believe they are. I believe they're angels in training, in a sense. I understand the term that angels were never human, and so that and they never will be human. But there is some form of angelic guide. So I know that there are angels, like actual angels, that have come down, and they've. I mean, I've picked up some amazing things, audibly and visually. Definitely more audibly. I've heard a lot of responses talking about angels are here. There's light. They're here. But I've also heard them talk about the guides that they're like, training to be angels, like they're working for their wings in a sense. And I think that's very interesting.
Okay. Australian Ben, who's a previous guest in our live chat, says, Joshua, does light sustain water just as water sustains life? Does this speak to God's love for man flowing like a fountain?
I'm trying to understand that question. So at the first part of it, what was it again?
Okay. Yeah, I
Is
understood.
light?
Understood. Does light sustain water like water sustains life?
Well, I mean, I know water is a huge. I mean, it's so important, to life itself. But at the same time, I know that it has a spiritual purpose. It's so crazy. It's been mentioned. Water's been mentioned many times in sessions. I've done sessions where I've done different things with water, involving them, and their communication has been better. So there is something to that. There is something to that. So I don't think I'm fully answering the question because I don't think I know the full answer to that. But
Yeah.
just giving you what my experience is.
Yeah, I mean, interesting. There's the baptism by water, and then there's
Right.
being anointed by oil, which is derivative of water. So there is something that flows. I mean, talk about the flowing of living
Well, we're
waters.
70% water, so I mean, clearly there's a major correlation
You know
there
what
on
else
some.
is 70% water? Watermelon. Okay. Viveka says, Joshua, how can you believe that these voices are not lies? The devil is the master deceiver and counterfeiter of the truth.
That's a great. Thank you for that question. So, first of all, it's been 8 years. It's been 8 years, and I've done thousands of sessions, right? Thousands of sessions for myself and for other people and for their loved ones. And 90% of the communication has been positive. They talk about God. They talk about living better, being better. I'm sorry, if there's a demon out there and he's telling me to pray to Jesus and he's telling me to live better and do better, and he's waiting 8 years to give me positive answers, and then on the ninth year he's going to drop the bomb and say, go ahead and kill everyone,
Mhm.
then whatever. I don't know what to tell you, but I'm going to listen to the positive advice of these liars, these so-called liars, then, because it's really made me a much better person. So, I just want to read this to you really quickly. It
Yeah, go ahead.
says, Paul talks about in First Corinthians verse 14, 1 through 3 in the NIV. Follow the way of love and eagerly desire spiritual gifts, especially the gift of prophecy. Everyone who prophesies speaks to men for their strengthening, encouragement, and comfort. He's talking about wanting spiritual gifts and wanting those from our God. He also says over here, he gives a spiritual gift is given to each of us so we can help each other. This is also 1 Corinthians 12, 4 through 11. Spiritual gift is given to each of us so we can help each other. To one person, the Spirit gives the ability to give wise advice. To another, the same Spirit gives a message of special knowledge. He goes on, he gives one person the power to perform miracles and another the ability to prophecy. He gives someone the ability to discern whether a message is from the Spirit of God or from another spirit. Right there, he's telling us
Mm-hmm.
that there will be people that will be able to discern from these so-called messages.
Mm-hmm.
So, I
Well,
mean, this
yeah.
is right
Hey,
here.
love the quote there. And well, I was thinking when you were saying that, reading that, should we know what our gifts are? Does everyone have at least one of those?
Paul is saying that we do. I've come to the understanding that we all have an intuitive ability of some sort. We've been given the keys to a Rolls Royce and we drive around thinking we have a Honda Civic. We
Mm-hmm.
don't understand that we have some great spiritual capabilities.
Mm-hmm.
And Paul is going through the list of the gifts. Some of them is just being wise,
Mm-hmm.
but some of them are going further and talking about prophecy, spirit communication. I mean, why would God make mediums? Why would there be these mediums? That's to help people. I mean, just in John, let's see, hold on, don't go anywhere.
Okay.
John 4:48, he talks about except ye see signs and wonders, ye will not believe. I mean, that's Jesus saying that. You need to see to believe, he's saying.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, let me throw a question out then to the people watching in the live chat. Do you have a gift, as was just read to you, one of those? Do the people watching the show, do you know you have at least one of those gifts? You can say what it is if you know. Just say, yeah, I feel like I have one. If you don't want to say exactly what it is. And when you were saying that, an epiphany came to me, Joshua. It's got to be, and came in this form. One of the biggest lies that there must be is that we don't know who we are and what ability for change for the good we can actually make. I know
Absolutely.
how many of us said, "Hey, like I said, I'm just a cowboy with an
What
internet
can I
show.
do?
What can I do?"
Right.
I think we've all said that, and so maybe
Absolutely.
and then we're lied to. So we're sitting in the corner, we're waiting for an email from God to say, "Okay, your power is coming in, go use it." And I think he's saying you already have it, you don't even know it, and you need to use it and then strengthen it by reason of use.
Absolutely. I love what you're talking about, man, because you're dialed in. I mean, you really are talking, my language in the sense that that's exactly right. It doesn't mean every single person's going to become a medium and talk to the other side. That's not what everyone's purpose is for. But everyone has an ability to reach other people. And I'm not talking about through social media. I'm talking about just through their acts of kindness or through their own, personal development. It could be at their job. It could be within the family. It could be within the community in some way. I mean, I don't know. It could be online, in some group. I mean, you never know. I get messages all the time. People saying, "You don't know what your videos have done for me," and I don't, because I make them. I put them out there. Someone finds them. God, the higher power, uses those videos and uses this program and uses other different things to get to different people and try to wake them up and say,
I
listen,
heard somebody say,
I'm not.
I,
Well, because the thing is this: what would be the point of a father that loves his child so much, but to say, you got to do it my way? You only got to do it my way, and I'm not going to give you a choice. And it's only because I love you. That's why. I'm just not going to let you make a choice. That's not love, right? He's going to say, I'm going to let you make your choice, and you're probably going to make the wrong one a million different times, but I'm still going to be here to take you in and love you and support you. That's big time, man. That's huge. So we all need to keep seeking, and that's it. Keep seeking that source. I think, and our gift will come out, however that is.
I heard somebody say that. So you don't know what gift you have, just use it, fire the shot, and then activate it. And if it's off, then the Spirit of God will come in. He'll line it, but you've got to shoot. And I think it goes back to that trickster thing: is don't shoot at all. It's time's not right. Don't step out in faith. Don't go out and talk to your neighbor. Don't go out and talk to your neighbor.
I think that's such a great poignant thing to say, man, because honestly, like we were saying earlier, the system is devised, this matrix or whatever, the simulation is devised in a way to kind of create complacency and low confidence and just laziness and just kind of not take that shot like you said. It's like, oh, the time's not right and we can't make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone can. We're all connected. I think that when you see like one of those with the solar system and it shows the Earth and it backs out and it shows the sun and it backs out and shows
Right.
Betelgeuse and keeps going and the known universe, and you're going, I'm not even a speck of sand. I'm not even anything in this thing. But what we don't realize is that we are connected to the source. So we are just a single point of consciousness. I am, you are, and anyone watching, but we're all tied into the source. So we're bigger than we really even understand. We're only seeing the littleness of it. We're not seeing the bigness of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the demons actually tremble when they consider what kind of power we actually have, and their only way to win is to trick us. And keep going back to that. All right, so here we go. Jade, our moderator, is absolutely convinced she has the gift of spiritual discernment. Let's see if we've got any others. Rose says, I have psychic abilities. I can see ghosts, spirits, and demons. See if we've got anybody else that says or would like to say anything on that. We'll wait to see if anything else comes in. All right, let's get some more questions for you. Put Yahweh first says, if you don't mind, what did you go to prison for?
I was an alcoholic, addicted to drugs, and it's all in my book. And I also made my film. I did a film that went to theaters, and it's all in there.
What's the name of it?
The movie is Not for Human Consumption.
Okay.
It's available on Amazon Prime and other, I think you watch it on, yep, there it is. But yeah, I ended up shooting a drug dealer 6 times in a deal that went bad. And I was sent to prison for attempted murder. Mm-hmm. And thank God, I was facing 20 years and I only got 2.5. And the 2.5 saved my life because it was long enough for me to really, get religion, so to speak, but it wasn't long enough that my life was over and that I'd still have a second chance, to live.
Mm. Well, I'll tell you what, I had a second chance one time in my wild and crazy youth. I was riding a motorcycle down an alley and I didn't have a helmet and the back wheel went out from underneath me. And I'm falling, I don't know, doing 30, 40 miles an hour, and I was nearly sideways. And as I was falling off the bike, my hand twisted the accelerator in a microsecond, and that bike stood right back up. I was horizontal. I should have been dead or horribly injured. And let me tell you something, I got off the bike for 30 years after that one. But I thought I had another chance for life here. Maybe I better try not to screw it up this time.
That's really wild.
So,
man. Wow.
I think everybody gets second and third and fourth and fifth. And I think we get more chances than we can count. And I think maybe in the afterlife, as you speak, we're going to be able to see some of those near misses.
I think so too. I think I agree with you.
All right. More questions. Let's see if we can rapid fire these, get some of the folks answered here.
Sure.
Rose says, what do you know about the pineal gland?
I know a lot about it. Third eye, pineal gland. I mean, it's what I actually envision and what I use to see my psychic stuff when I'm working with it. When you watch some of my videos on my channel, you will see these balls of light and leaving my head, and a lot of times they're leaving where there's this silver patch of hair on my head. It's very strange, and it's kind of similar to, or it's close to the pineal gland. So it's the place where they say that the soul enters and leaves the body. So very important.
Very nice, very nice. Okay, May 777 says, how old is human DNA, and is it all human, terrestrial and non-terrestrial?
I do not know that answer, so I'm not going to even attempt to answer it.
Okay, follow-up question. Do we need evil to understand good?
I would say yes, and there's a balance of power, and we need to understand. Like I said, without free will, there wouldn't be morality or any reason for morality. So it's a part of this experience. It's So unfortunately, it is. All things are used for His good, right?
Yeah. Well said. Is the competitive nature of man something only of this world? I guess if we're saying if isn't in the afterlife and finding hope in the afterlife, is there any competitive spirit there?
Well, there is still competitive or a competitive aspect at times on the other side in the I don't want to say lower than us realms, but just like more earthly realms on the other side of the veil. The higher up you go, the less ego you have. The less ego you have, the less competition. It's more for the collective. It's more for the good of everyone, as opposed to a competitive nature. Competitive competition comes more from ego, even though there is an evolution factor there. We're evolving, we're trying to get to the next level. So there is a healthy competition, but yeah, that's all part of the ego. So,
Now,
I mean, yeah.
um, in your book, Finding Hope in the Afterlife, is there any discussion in there, Joshua, about whether or not all of our range of emotions follow us there? I mean, would we have hate and rage and jealousy on the other side?
Yeah, I mean, I talk about how that, again, anything that we were like now when we die is how we're going to, what we're going to take with us to the other side.
Mhm.
So that's why you want to clearly that's why that whole wear the world like a loose garment is such a really important statement. He's not just saying that to like, be like, hey man, be a hippie, like he's
Mhm.
saying that because you don't want to have that heavy coat on when it's
Mhm.
time to shed it,
Mhm.
when it's time to get it, go to the next side. So, yeah, I mean, yeah.
Mhm. Okay. Truth and Treasure says, Joshua, um, do you know that the Holy Spirit talks to people as well?
Yeah, I mean, I speak, well, I mean, there's, God the Father, God the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And there's a lot more to that than just it being a Catholic thing or whatever. Like
Mhm.
that Holy Trinity really extends to every religion and everything. So we all have that within us.
Mhm.
In my book, I talk about my own personal intuitive communication with Christ. And someone can believe it or not. I'm not going to sit here and tell you
Mhm.
I'm talking to the only Christ in the sense that like Jesus chose only me to come through or anything like that, but it was a personal communication. I believe it was enabled because of the Holy Spirit, and I believe that he was able to communicate with me just as I'm
Mhm.
talking to you at times,
D-
sometimes clearer than
during
others.
during that communication, did he say anything that surprised you?
I mean, I asked questions about everything that you can imagine, pyramids and aliens. I asked about everything that I could ask, whether it was through the medium that was channeling him at the time, my partner, that Nikki, that that was able to bring in a Christ consciousness and for a period. And then I did. And each time I did, it felt like the same person that I was talking to, the same loving, all compassion, just all knowing power. And his words were always so simple but powerful, like they had double meanings to
Mhm.
them. And was there anything that was, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's so much in the book. So off the top of my head, without going into a long story, no, I can't
Mhm.
just say one thing that he said that blew
Yeah,
me
and I
away.
think if they go to our website, if they can either click on your website, follow you that way, or they can click on that image of that book, and I think it'll take them to the Amazon page.
Yeah.
Um,
HopeParanormal.com is really my website, where you can get to the book, you can get to the app that I'm building. It's
wait,
not out yet, but there's a spirit communication application software that I'm devising. So all of that can be found HopeParanormal.com.
okay. Smoke C says, Joshua, is it possible to choose death that leave our physical bodies without committing actual suicide?
Yes, actually, that's a great question. There's a technique that the gurus, the masters, learn. A yogi will learn when they learn advanced like yoga, different meditation techniques, Kriya Yoga. This man again, Paramahansa Yogananda, he brought Kriya Yoga from India over in the 20s, and anyway, he was here and he had told his followers, he said, his devotees, he said, I'm going to be leaving here soon. And they said, well, what do you mean? We're not going to be able to go on without you. And he goes, no, you will. Love will be left in my place. And later that night, he was, giving a large speech to a hall in LA packed with people and a dignitary from India. And after he read some poem, he turned his gaze up. And as he turned his gaze up, his heart stopped and he left his body. His body dropped, and that was it. And that's like the highest honor that there is to be able to choose when to leave your body, and it's not in a suicide. It's not suicide. It's because you're given that. You've lived a great life, and you know.
Hmm.
And how many times also have we seen these? One couple, they've been married for, a couple married for 60 years, and one dies, and the other one, makes the choice almost to pass within hours of the other one passing.
Yeah, I've seen that, and in one way, it's really, really sweet. I think one of those happened just this week. I don't know who it was. Maybe just
Oh, I
coming
hear
through.
about it all the time. Yeah.
And you talk about connection now. That's a life connection that In
Sure.
fact, my grandparents was like that, and it was a very sad story. I might as well just share that a little bit of that. They were married forever, and then she died, and she was on the couch for 4 days, and was on his knees by her side for 4 days, and then before I guess he reported, he just wouldn't let her go, and then finally I guess he called and they took her out, and then 2 or 3 days later he died.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's that. That's it. I mean, I get it, and I think he was granted the permission, to leave without it being some kind of suicide. It's not like, I
Hmm.
mean, he didn't take anything, he didn't do anything, right? He just his will to live left his body, so he was like, his spirit was ready to go on and be with his love.
Interesting. Let me tell you another story. I just popped in my memory. I don't know if this helps the conversation, but um, I was visiting a hospital one time, and there were two two men in there that has had the exact same condition, and one guy, I can't remember if they're in the same room or how I knew that, but one guy was just cursing and mean as a snake, complaining, and the other guy was like really gracious and kind of accepting. Um, Within a week, the angry guy died of his condition. They both had the same condition, but the other guy, he sort of recovered, and his wife got 30 more days of kind of gradually seeing him out, and he didn't suffer pain.
Wow.
But that kind of shows you your spirit may have some effect on how you leave this world. And I kind of like the easier route, but who's to say? All right, got more questions, a few more questions, Joshua. Uh, Gladys Kravitz says, Joshua, what is considered an unclean spirit that's spoken about in the Bible? Is it different than a demonic spirit?
I mean, it's important that I say I'm really no expert. I understand I've been doing this 8 years. I'm not, I'm not a Bible scholar. I'm not a PhD. I just really wanted to learn more. And so I've read many books and all that. So I'm not, I don't know if I'm going to give you the right answer. I don't, I think that there are actual demonic entities out there.
Mhm.
But I think that there are people that have good in them but have lived bad or have a tarnished, I don't say soul, but have that karma that they have to deal with. So
Mhm.
um, yeah, I don't know. I don't think that they are demons, but I think that there are
Mhm.
spirit that are around us that can play on our negativities or play on the negative energy that's around us, but that aren't necessarily demons then,
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay. Do you know if suicide will keep you out of a good afterlife?
So the majority, a lot of the cases and sessions I do are for people that have committed suicide, and the communication that I get from them is not one that they're in hell. It's not one that they're, locked out of anything that's good. But they're not, they're still dealing with something. A lot of those people, just like I've been sharing throughout this whole interview, is that just because we lived a certain way, we were depressed, we had issues, and we chose to take our life. We still can work our way through that, but no, a lot of those people have expressed being tired or not having much to do, staying around where they were before, like around their families or
Mhm.
around where they were. So they're not in heaven. They're not necessarily in the light and love in every aspect of the afterlife. There's
Mhm.
something that they feel is they still need to deal with. They need to deal with. I had someone that I reached out to that committed suicide, and I said, what's your advice to someone that's thinking about, taking their life?
Mhm.
And they said, never give it up. I thought that it was very clear. It came through the spirit box. It said,
Mhm.
never give it up.
Mhm.
And I thought, wow, that's powerful stuff coming from a guy that committed suicide.
Right. Well, plus you may get a miraculous healing or miracle in your life if you just kind of hang on. You never know when it's going to
Right.
come.
Yeah.
Um, do you? The question is, do you believe in aliens and risen masters, Maitreya, etc., that come with aliens when they make contact?
So this is a great question. I don't believe that there's separation from aliens and the afterlife and paranormal. I believe that there is a direct correlation. I don't know exactly what that is. I do believe in aliens. I do. I have seen things in the sky before.
Mhm.
I know that Dr. Stephen Greer's program, CE5 and all that, that what he's working on. His meditations and his guided meditations that he takes people through, where they see things and they are able to capture things with their camera. That's the same type of meditation. I've listened to it, and it's the same type of meditations and guided stuff that I do when communicating with spirit. So the process is very similar. I've seen balls of light drop down from, not personally my eyes. I've seen in video that I feel
Mhm.
is good video. It's a valid video. Um, but I've seen balls of light, like the orbs that I've recorded going in and out of my head. I've seen them drop down from the sky and do crop circles. So
Mhm.
there's something going on there. I've seen those balls of light in the sky moving like they're a UFO,
Mhm.
and they're moving like these little balls of light that are coming into my room when I'm doing these sessions. So there's something going on there that I haven't been able personally to tie together,
Mhm.
but I feel like it is.
In any way, do you think that you ever have gotten close to opening a portal that you didn't want opened?
Yeah, I think that it's happened probably more than a couple times. But that's why I do trust the light. I trust Jesus Christ, and I trust the angels and the help that I have. I think there's a lot of things that have happened on the other side that I just do not know or did not know that they happened.
Mhm.
I don't know how many close calls there might have been with something, but that's where the protection comes in. So yeah, I mean, there's portals being opened all the time, and I have children, and I mean, we have a wonderful life. I mean, it doesn't mean bad things don't happen to us
Mhm.
sometimes, or we don't deal with adversity in our lives,
Mhm.
But we feel very protected and loved, and
Mhm.
yeah. But I do think that there's
By,
portals that
by
have
the
been
way, I
opened.
love the candle in your background there.
Oh, thanks.
That's a real mood setter, man. Real.
Yeah, man.
I mean, what
Thanks.
is it about candles? It's a spiritual. It's that's inviting nice spirits to come in. I mean,
Yeah, I
it's
agree. I agree.
just
I had
something
the
about it.
incense going too, so yeah, it
Yeah.
smells good in here.
There are things that we can do to soothe ourselves. That's another way. For instance, the rooms in my houses are painted different colors because I feel like each color, having color around
Yep.
enhances your mood, and the life is full of color. And so there are things that we can do to enhance our human experience, like that. I mean, and
Well,
so.
I want to say this. If anyone ever feels like people get messages all the time. Oh, I feel this negative entity. I feel this negative energy. I feel that there's something here watching me or attaching to themselves to me. They say, and it's a very fearful comment.
Mhm.
What should they do? And I always say, listen, put on some classical music inside the house, violin, piano,
Okay.
play some Indian classical music, some just traditional, classical music, okay,
Mhm.
meditation music, really positive stuff. Burn some incense, bring in some fresh flowers, go buy some fresh flowers,
Oh,
or go
good,
pick some
good.
fresh flowers, bring them inside, let the light from outside come in. If you got like a dark space, let that light come in, and then pick up, if you like the good book, the Bible. If you want to read the Bible, pick up the Bible, read the red, read the words in red, read something spiritual out loud,
Mhm.
Anything that's negative around will not want the flowers around. They will not want the positive smell of incense or the flowers. They will not want to hear those sweet tones of the music. They will not want to hear the word being read out loud. So these things are surefire ways to take care of any of that negative residual energy around your house. That could be done tonight. That could be done right now. Like you don't have to
Mhm.
call in a priest and a paranormal team and all that other shit. You can just stay focused on that.
Well, there you go, guys. Tips from Joshua on how to have some feng shui in your. And there's what you're saying is we have more. That goes back to our last hour when we say we have more control than we think we do. The little who
Yes.
would think that? Light a candle, play some music, open the windows, open the curtains. For me, I go to YouTube and put on 4K serene scenes from
There
Italy
you go.
from a
Yep.
drone. That does it for me.
Yeah, because it's clearing out the space. It's a form of like meditation in a way. I mean, not all meditation is lotus style and, the mantras and, sitting there with your eyes closed. I mean, washing the dishes and doing that kind of stuff and just kind of zoning out and putting yourself in a better, change, move a muscle, change, what is it? Move a muscle, change a thought. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever. It's like, those things are positive.
Okay. All right. We got this question here. Max asks, Joshua, do you believe we will ever have lasting peace in this present age?
No, no, no. I mean,
Thanks,
I
Joshua.
don't.
Thanks for the encouragement there.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm just being honest in the sense that the peace that we have to find is within, and that's the problem. That, this is like like the Sims game on steroids. I mean, that's what we are in here. We're in some kind of simulation that it's an obstacle course. It's a spiritual obstacle course, and so it's like you said, and we've said, it's not designed to create peace.
Mm,
We have to kind of create peace around us.
mhm.
We want to, we have to be the peace that we want to see within the world to the best of our ability. We work on ourselves, we're working on the world. That's really the best way to do
Mhm.
it. So,
Mhm.
if you create peace within you, you will find that everlasting peace, here,
Mhm.
heaven on earth. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? Like there is that. But it's between our ears.
Hey, we got a few more tips that people want to add to your excellent tips. One person said, uh, go outside and ground your feet, be barefoot.
Grounding is awesome. I'm so glad that someone brought that up. Let me just, I'm right here next to it. I just want to show
Sure.
something real quick. Hold on, hold on. So, grounding is a big deal. Whoever just said that, thank you for saying that because, and especially just going outside, holding a tree, barefoot, in the grass, you can envision, energy. So I take my patrons, the people that join my site, my groups and stuff. I do like little meditational classes and things like that. And I show them this picture. This is just me, coloring with crayons pretty much, but just to show, to give an example, I showed this example to them. But this is a picture of someone sitting in a chair. I understand it's kind of rough, but they're sitting in a chair. They're
Okay.
not doing anything gross or nothing here. This is a grounding cord, and we can envision like a cord, coming out of like, connected to our tailbone, and it goes into the ground. And then we can envision, earth energy coming up through our feet. We can envision light coming, cosmic light coming down. And I know that sounds all foo-foo and that sounds all kind of hokey as far as like, we can envision. How do we know that's real? But what's crazy about this, I wouldn't believe any of this stuff if I didn't hear some of the recordings of what I've captured.
Mhm.
I've had teachers tell me, spiritual teachers and guides, on this side that were alive, say, "Hey, envision this. You envision energy coming in. You envision energy going out. It's really happening." And I'm like, that's okay. That's nice to say that, but how do we really know that's even the truth?
Mm.
And I've done these meditations and I've done these sessions with them, these box sessions,
Mhm.
and I've envisioned light coming in and all of a sudden, like I said, I've envisioned that, but then on camera you see the ball of light coming in, or you hear the spirit saying, "Yes, we see the energy."
Mhm.
So there's something to that, like you said. that our minds are more powerful than we realize. Our bodies, our beings are more powerful than we realize, and that we just don't realize that when we are envisioning stuff, it's happening somewhere, man. Like it's happening on
Mhm.
some level in some reality, you know?
Mhm.
So grounding is definitely a really good thing to
Hmm.
do. Yeah.
Uh,
Sorry about that long answer.
no, I think that's a great answer. I mean, the ancients knew there's certain power in the earth itself with the ley line thing, you know, that they've
Oh
always
my
tried to
God,
build
yeah.
on.
Yeah.
So there's something in the earth, and I don't think the devil put it in there. You know, I think it's part of the
No.
great design. I mean, I think there are little treasures that God expects us or wants us. You know, the Bible says
Amen.
it is a matter of kings to search out a matter. You know, so to search out a matter, what we're doing tonight, we're searching. We're searching.
Right.
We're listening to
Right.
each other. We're talking. We're listening to the people that are writing
Right.
in. We're all searching and searching out the matter. And so tonight's matter we're talking about is there hope in the afterlife? And from what you're describing, that should reduce people's fear and anxiety about death as a permanent end, but really as a continuation. And then the bigger
Absolutely.
question there, Joshua, I think we've arrived at is what kind of person do we want to have represented ourselves as? And did we try to make a difference in whatever form and a gift that we had? I think one of the biggest fail things that we would be depressed about is when, if we go to the other side, they say, you had this gift, you know how you did this and you did that, and that gift you had and you didn't use it.
I think that's such a powerful thing. What you just said right there is so, man. I mean, you've really been hitting the nail on the head with a lot of these statements, and so I mean, I totally agree with you. Um, you know, what I heard someone say the other day is that what would your 8-year-old self and your 80-year-old self think about you? And I really thought that was a very interesting question. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I really had to think about that for a minute. Myself at 8 and myself at 80. Am I proud? Are those two people proud of me and what I'm doing with my life? And I've made a lot of money. I've accomplished a lot of things. I'm a proud father. I'm a proud filmmaker, and I have business and all kinds of things. But when I get to the end, and I don't, hopefully I'm not near that anytime soon. I mean, I'm
No,
40
you're
years
not.
old, so
I
I
can
mean,
assure you.
hopefully not, and hopefully I'm there for my kids and everything else. But it's like when I get to the end, it's like I really, I'm gonna think about also, um, how many people messaged me over time and throughout the years and said, you really helped me spiritually. I
Mhm.
think that would be probably the greatest gift that I can get, knowing that I really did help people on a spiritual level, especially when my life was as useless as it was 20 years ago. I mean, I was literally a blight on society. I was a detriment to people that I came in contact with. I didn't offer anything to anybody. I took from life, right?
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
now I've been given this other opportunity. I'm blessed, and so it's my job to remain teachable,
Mhm.
remain willing to be called on to do some kind of little deed or big deed, whatever that is.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think that that's what's gonna, when people can get to that point and say, hey, I don't have to go change the world, but if I can reach someone and
Mhm.
just let them know that they're worth it, or that they have a great ability to do something. Maybe someone's ability is not to, or maybe their ability is to help bring out other people's ability, just with
Mhm. Right.
encouragement and just with
Mhm.
love. So you don't know what that is, but if
Mhm.
you say, God, I don't know what that is, but I want to work for you in some way.
Mhm.
And I'm not talking about going to the church on Sundays always and just being an usher or something. I'm talking about, like,
Mhm.
working for you in another way. If you ask for that, I found you will receive it.
Mhm.
You will receive an answer
Yeah.
some way. And it may not be right away, but you will get
Yeah, I
it.
think it's like we talked in the first hour. We said the idea of making yourself available,
Right.
but I think that also has to come with an awareness. Um, just be aware that when you go down to Walmart, you're going to meet somebody. You're going to meet a stranger. You're going to meet a stranger when you go to the gas station, where you go out to eat. You're going to meet a stranger.
Right.
And what you leave in that stranger's life is what you are on this earth to be. I don't think I don't believe in coincidences at all. I think there are a lot of divine appointments that causes our
I like
path to,
that.
to
Yeah.
go to those areas. And so, I mean, but I think just be aware, and I think you got to have a little bit of boldness. Say, well, because the mind, Joshua, is going to talk you out of everything.
You're so right, man. And I have this chapter in my book about my book really covers a lot of stuff. Not to keep plugging it, but
Hmm.
it really does cover a lot of stuff. And there is this chapter. I'm going to see if I can find it. Hold on,
Sure, go
but
ahead.
really,
Not a problem.
what it is that it talks about why this is so hard to believe. And so it really talks about why we can't just wrap our minds around the fact that this stuff is real or that we can make a difference. We do have abilities. Um, and it's because of the conditioning that we've gone through. I can't figure. I should probably look at the table of contents. That's what I should do. But and so it's like we've gone through our whole lives being told that it's not. It's this way. It's this way. It's this way. Or that's not real. That's not real. That's not real.
Hmm.
And then all of a sudden, we may have a spiritual experience. We may see something, hear something, experience something in faith or whatever. And all of a sudden, we can't deny that. But you go talking to people and you go telling people what you're experiencing, and you're going to get called
Hmm.
80 different types of crazy.
Hmm.
So you got to, it's like you said, you got to be bold. It's like you got to work through that crap, that ego of feeling like you're going to be called crazy or stupid or you're going to lose your
Hmm.
mind.
Fear.
Yeah, the fear. It's
Hmm.
just really that's all it is. Yeah. So anyway, it's hard to believe. It's page 117 in my book, and it really does break down um,
You want to
the
read a paragraph
understanding.
out of that?
Yeah. Let me just see here. Hold on. There's probably one or two things or just one thing I could probably just snipe from it here. Hold on.
Sure, we got time. Go ahead.
Cool. Let's see. Unless you come from a free spirited family with a spiritual background or had an actual psychic medium in your family, chances are you were told from a young age that ghosts didn't exist, especially when we were kids and we thought we saw something in our rooms at night. Our parents would tell us it wasn't real, so we'd go back to bed. When we were told ghost stories, they were to scare us with evil characters. So, right there, in our formidable years, we were being shaped to believe spirits were fake unless it was evil. Then it was real. I'd say those are two major walls right there. As we get older, we begin to make our own decisions about what we choose to believe. One example of something that might happen, we see a video someone sent us or a picture someone shared of a ghostly figure, maybe even a UFO, and we can't believe our eyes. And this seems like undeniable proof of their existence. We think maybe our parents were wrong all along, and we share it with others, trying to raise awareness of such a discovery until an uncle or a friend shows us proof that the video was faked or the picture was altered. And when we do our own research, we find out that they were probably right. And we vow never to be taken for a fool like that again. To us, all evidence is now fake and can't be trusted. It's not worth it. And so that happens, is that it's like we believe something, but we didn't really know the full truth on it yet. And again, it's the fear of looking like a fool. So, even when we experience something of our own and we didn't share it with others, we kind of have that in the back of our mind, that logic
Mhm.
going, you know, man, don't believe this, or don't tell people about this.
Mhm.
So that's something we really have to work through.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe if we did less listening to our mind and more listening to our heart, that's where the difference will be made. And I think that's where passion comes from. It comes from the heart as well, and that's where the boldness comes from. But the mind is like a sort of a protector. It's always trying to protect us from ourselves. Oh, you don't want
You
to
are
talk to that person.
you're
Don't
so
say that.
right,
Don't
man.
don't tell this person that. Maybe somebody else needs to do it. That's your mind in protect mode, and it will stop us. That's why the Bible talks about, it says the mind is enmity against God and cannot know God. The mind can't know it, but the heart can, and God equipped us and designed us that way. Joshua Lewis, we're at the end of the
Yeah,
broadcast.
you're dialed in, man. I love it. I love what you're talking, man, because the heart it's a radio, it's a receiver, and the mind, the ego is totally like you said, man. It thinks it's there to protect us, but really what it's doing is it's keeping us closed in, you know. So you're right on, my friend.
Okay. Well, Joshua Lewis, I appreciate you coming on the Edge broadcast. Any final thoughts?
Appreciate you having me. No, I would just say to keep seeking. Keep seeking. If you want to check out my work, please, hopeparanormal.com. I have the channel, the YouTube channel, youtube.com/Hope Paranormal White Light. You know, if you have a question, anyone want, message me, comment on a video. I try to get back to everybody, but keep seeking. God bless and love and light.
Okay. Joshua Lewis, I appreciate you coming on the show. We'll have you on again sometime.
Thank you so much.